All right, it's live. Cool. That was it. That was really simple to do that. Cool. So, hello everyone. This is a Google Hangout live stream talking about Conquest of Mythodea, the very large LARP event that happens every year in Hanover, Germany. And today we've got a few others who are going to join in on the conversation. We're going to talk about our experience, what happened this year, and kind of what goes into creating this sort of event. There's like thousands and thousands of people that show up every year, so it's on a whole different level than a lot of us LARPers are actually used to. So anyway, to start off, my name is Kristin Brumley. I am the host of Stay in Character, which is a vlog about LARPing hosted by LARP characters. You can find my vlog on Larping.org, which is where we're being hosted today. Thank you, Larping.org. And my co-host is Martin, who I'll let introduce himself.
Hello, I am Martin, and I run a small YouTube channel called LarpForge, and I also play LARP. I don't really have much else to say.
Perfect. Okay.
Other than we have some awesome guys.
Speaking of, so I'll have you guys introduce yourselves. We'll start with Dennis.
Yeah, hi. My name is Dennis, and I am sort of like a co-host on LarpForge together with Martin. And yeah, I play LARP. So that's pretty much it.
Fabian?
Oh, no. Yes, unmute. I'm Fabian. I'm one of the guys behind Conquest of Mythodea, with Life Adventure, the organization that hosts it every year. I'm primarily responsible for everything that happens within the game, so I'm not responsible for all the toilets and the showers and the parking slots, but everything that happens in-game, in character, and in play. That's my thing.
Cool. That's a big responsibility. And Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick. I run the Grand Expedition, which is a group of international players who come together for Conquest, and that's how we met.
It is in fact. Cool. So, Martin, you've got the first question to ask.
I mean, yes. Damn, the unmute thing is a thing to get used to. So now that everybody more or less have introduced themselves, I think that maybe we should just very short, not Danish, English, very short. Just do any of you guys actually speak German, or more or less, which persons do not? Because Conquest is a LARP in Germany, but it's not like a German LARP altogether. But
yeah. So, what languages do you speak, and where are you from?
yeah, just for everybody else to know. We start from the other end. That's over there. With Dennis.
Okay. Well, I speak a little bit of German. I understand most of it, though. I'm from Denmark, so naturally I speak Danish, and then I speak English and a lot of other gibberish.
And just really short, what is your connection to Conquest?
I am the leader of the Kettle family, or the Kettle gang, down at Conquest, and I am the Earl of Copperdale in the country of North in Northern Seal.
Yes. Fabian?
I speak a little German, yes. Try to
just a little
from time to time. And I think the best thing I have to say at that point is I'm trying to make Conquest as available to non-German speakers as possible every year, a little more. And yeah, that's trying. Still working on that because it's a big thing, and most players are obviously from Germany or German-speaking countries, but it's getting better from year to year.
Yes. But there's actually one of the things that I want to talk about, I'll just point out here, because it's German. It's a German LARP, but it's also a lot more international LARP, sort of. Or it's becoming more international, at least, to some extent. Kristin, you're also in the row, so you also have to answer this.
Yeah, okay. Well, I am from the US in Ohio, and I speak English. I speak very, very, very little German, as in I can tell you that I don't speak German. And even less Danish, and but I do speak Japanese, which helps me absolutely not at all. So, and connection-wise, I'm a player. I've been twice, and I'm part of the Grand Expedition.
Yes, which is a segue to Rick, I'm guessing.
And she's a very valuable member of the Grand Expedition. I'm also from America. I lived in Great Britain for 13 years, and in 2010, while in Britain, I heard about the LARP in Germany, which is why I went. My German was very limited, having been a soldier in Berlin in the 80s. Over the course of the last 5 years, my German has progressed. Ich kann sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch, aber ich möchte besser Deutsch, und das Spiel has machen mein Deutsch ein bisschen besser, ich denke. So I think Fabian's been a good friend to help me out with my language. He's used me to try to improve some of the English there, and he's helped me with a lot of my German.
Cool. And you run, of course, the Grand Expedition, which is an English-speaking group, sort of.
Yeah, that's correct. It's quite complicated in the sense that we have a lot of different languages, and if we default to English, which is really nice for a lazy guy like me with my language being the sort of the trade language. But yeah, we have people from all over the world speaking a whole lot of different languages, and they meet halfway in the sense that most of them speak some English. So that's why the English becomes so important at Conquest as a sort of international language.
Yes. And yeah, myself, of course, I am a member of the kettle group which Danish run, or he leads, or I'm more or less moving over to some academy, other things, which is also allied with the kettle gang. And I speak a little German like Dennis, but more for minimum need, not a lot. I speak mainly English, and of course Danish, but that doesn't help in German. But now that we have gotten the introductions and what languages people speak, should we jump on to the next question, I think?
Yeah, we'll do that. Also, as a note, I know that everybody's, we've had somebody ask about the adding comments below, and they're disabled. I'm trying to figure that out. I've put somebody else on it, so hopefully we'll get that fixed. But if you do want to ask questions, you can ask on our Facebook event page or also on the Google Plus event page in the meantime. So, or if you can message one of us and give us your question, that works too. Anyway, so moving on, as far as, so let's talk a little bit more about Conquest and what it actually is. Specifically, what is the major plot line of the Mirror World? Because that's a big place where Conquest takes place in game now, and I think a lot of this is going to center around what actually happens in the Mirror World, what the Mirror World is. So, if you want to, one of you guys want to give a crack at explaining what is the Mirror World?
I think Fabian maybe should start with that, since he
I
maybe
think so.
is the one who has the most inside knowledge.
Well, basically, first, the Mirror World is a restart. We had an ongoing Mythodea campaign from starting 2003, And the mirror world is our major step into restarting into or into changing into a chapter number 2. This was necessary to conclude some of the stories and to break down some of the background to make it easier to access the story and the world again. Because during the first 10-year campaign there were so many stories and so many stuff going on that it was very, very difficult, or became very, very difficult to join the main storyline. So the mirror world is a breaking point, a milestone that changed the whole Mythodea story and started a new chapter. And secondly, the mirror world is a refuge point for the primordial skeptics, a group of ancient beings that once inhabited Mythodea, that made several mistakes and brought up some of the problems that players still have to deal with in game, and they escaped back then, a couple of thousand years ago, and now players try to hunt them down in the name of the elements, the gods of Mythodea, to find the root of all evil and destroy him finally for good.
That was pretty definitive, actually.
That's good. It's like and destroying them for good too. Like, I mean, that's kind of like every like big LARP, you know, you go to, and it's I always feel like you're trying to save the world no matter where you go. It's like, when will it stop? When will we ever save the world? Never.
Well, Mythodea was saved like 3 years ago, and it all ended. The final seal was opened, the last adventure was done, and so everybody was happy and everything was accomplished. What's happening now is kind of a crusade. The elements had this prophecy that one day the heirs of the ancient rulers would come back to Mythodea and claim the land again, and that was basically the setting of our first 10-year campaign, and that ended in 2013. And so then the elements stepped up and said, "Okay, you did that. Can't say that you failed, but maybe you could have done better. For example, you missed the root of all evil, the thing that started the whole thing a couple of millennia ago. So please correct that mistake and pay them a visit in the mirror world and beat the heck out of them."
So kind of tagging on to that, so that's kind of like the overarching like plot line of the mirror world and what everyone's doing there. But let's actually talk about what actually happened this year. What was the major storyline, specifically 2015, that was going on? And actually, I would like to start not with Fabian, but asking the players and what they thought actually happened. So let's start with Dennis.
Well, I think I will do this as short as possible and as most precisely as I can, and in character. I, William Kettle, have no freaking idea what happened whatsoever at Conquest. However, I will tell you this, that I beat up personally half the street gangs all by myself and made a lot of shenanigans. I made myself Earl in this freaking country called Lunar, and I made goddamn sure that my sons do not take the power away from me. Oh. Well, at least I really don't know what really happened, because our group we tried to get involved in politics, but it's quite hard for non-German speaking players sometimes to get really involved in the plot. So usually we tend to make our own plots, but we are a huge part of the politics down there. So we know a little of what happened, but not the reasons why. So the only thing I can think of, I heard something about a chair that no one was supposed to sit in unless, and there was this bad guy who sat in it, and we killed him. That's basically what I know from the plot. But I can tell you a lot of other things, which not is essentially the plot.
I like that Fabian's kind of laughing right now. It's kind of like the best part. Okay, Rick.
Well, this year we tried to do something very different from last year. Traditionally, I play a military leader in the game, and been very involved with the politics of the SEAL, the nation that we're sort of a part of. And that went really badly last year. So this year we wanted to try to do something different and be more of an adventuring party mentality, even with a rather large group of people, relatively, 30-ish. And I didn't know what we were doing really, because normally I just go and I fight the big battles, and that's kind of what we do. And I don't really get into too much into the magical or the spiritual elements of the big plot. Just point me in the right direction. This year was very different, and it was great. It was really nice to experience some of the smaller plot that was laid out there, exploring the ritual sites, finding out who's what with their, difficult to pronounce names and things like that. And most importantly, with some of the ethical decisions that sort of split the group, including myself and my wife having very different opinions. She co-leads the expedition with me on how to proceed with, for example, the ancient Lord of Justice, which she didn't believe was actually a Lord of Justice, and she thought it was a trap, and I didn't. My character thought it was legit, and that caused some really interesting role play and some interesting dynamics. In addition, I don't want to bore you with all the details. It turns into war stories, but suffice to say, we went into a foreign land on crusade, a lot of politics, and a lot of stuff packed into a very short amount of time to explore and try to figure things out and deal with a whole lot of high maintenance personalities within the group.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, isn't it? It's not just the plotline that's happening at the event, but since there's so many people there, it is really about the plot lines you're kind of creating yourself between each other. That actually makes it, I think, more worthwhile, and why it's so cool to go to such a big event. You're not just depending on the plot writers essentially to give you stuff to do. You've got plenty of it already. Martin.
Yes. What happened for me? Oh, damn. Well, the thing is, my character is sort of like the same as Dennis's. He always gets dragged on these crusades or conquests or whatever is going on. So,
we ended for the money.
Exactly. Mine is just happy to survive, more or less. If he does, and he, of course, have to watch out for his wife, and now he's also a janitor for a magic academy, so he's moving into that area, which is really weird, but for some reason it always ends up like there's these big, huge, very scary guys that you don't want to mess. You tend to look at them from really far away and then ask the other guys what's going on, which was something like we have to hold this area, and because if we don't hold this area, it will be bad. There were some shrines, I think they were called. I'm not entirely sure, but we were supposed to keep them for a amount of time. Otherwise, we got a debuff or something. That's putting it very simplistic.
Yeah, because the idea is that if you if you owned essentially one of the shrines, then it could be tuned to a certain element, and then therefore you got a buff, which actually wasn't so much of a buff as it was just kind of giving you back the abilities you had in the other world but didn't have in the mirror world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, defending those shrines, I think, was a big deal. But as far as what I think happened, I heard a lot of people doing like competition type stuff. One of my friends in game, Afoy, ended up beating a really ugly dude in some sort of competition, and I still don't know really what any of it was about. But there was really great fighting, and that was really fun. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad. That's about it.
On that note, our group has had more sort of like, as Dennis mentioned, political game, but more or LARP, but more sort of we met down there, and there's every group came together, and we just sat down and we started discussing and making fake alliances and and all that stuff. And then you hear that one guy is turned into a half god or something, and yeah.
Maybe you're just getting like little tidbits from people. Like you're out getting food, and somebody's like, "Hey, did you see so and so? Like he did this thing, and now he's on the throne." And you're like, "What? What throne? What was he doing?" I'm like, "Oh, did you see this guy? He totally got eaten alive." Like,
or just in my case, where I walk up to get some food, and on the way back there's a huge pile of dead people just in the middle of the square, and I have no clue what's going on. So it's like, okay, how did these people die? Well, they committed suicide. Suicide? Why? Well, to protest the crusade. And then that's when I realized myself, wait, this is we actually invading another country. Oh yeah. Cool, but let's go around these people.
I actually met a goblin at the same square, and we were told also that these people committed suicide, like Martin said. And the first thing the goblin said was, "Well, that's a bit shame. Well, at least they do not have to go to waste. Let's loot them."
Oh, the characters you will meet. LARPing.
The characters are the most wonderful thing.
Okay. Martin, it's your turn to ask a question.
Yes. But since we have talked a little about plot and everything, I want to ask Fabian, since we have you here, gonna use your time now that we have you here. How do you exactly put these plots together? Like, is it something you have one major? This is a really technical thing, but like a major writer, or for the bigger plots and the smaller plots? Because I've heard rumors that you have like a book for all these things, like in every event, like in every case, what happens or what players can come up with. And I know people can come up with some really crazy stuff.
And we also want to hear. We also want to hear what the plot actually was.
Oh yeah. Very important.
Well, we have several writing teams for every event. We really have that big book, but it's more a setting, not a script. Meaning, it's pretty useless after the game has started, because all that it tells you, or all that it tells the NPCs and the game masters is what's the point we start from, where are we in the beginning. What happens after that is just up to the players and the NPCs, and we always, as game masters, can and should only react and not enforce some story on the players, because it's an open setting. It's everything can happen. It depends on what the players do, and we try to railroad as little as possible. And there's a story, for example, this year it was a story of the two thrones, the black throne and the golden throne. One was in the south, up on a hill in a small temple. The other was in the woods in the north, and it was formed like a big scorpion. You've maybe seen it on some pictures or so, and there was a black throne on the back of it. And those two thrones were leftovers from the ancients, and players were able to compete for those thrones. Or in the case of the golden throne, it was not the question if the players could gain it, but they could influence who would sit on it in the end. So they could forge an alliance with one of the primordial skeptics against the others, or they could try that nobody would sit there in the end. They could, if they would have failed, the undead flesh would have conquered in the end, and one of their leaders would have sat there, and so on and so on. And the black throne was more for the magicians and the lore keepers. It was a little deeper in story, and that was about an insane artist called Sin Coloret. She once had constructed those thrones, and people had to deal with her backstory and her insanity. And she always tried to find someone to sit on there, but the cost of that would be your sanity. So it was like a play with the devil all the time. And well, that's put it very, very, very briefly. But those were the two cornerstones of this year's Conquest. Everything else that came with it was the whole invasion setting, the crusade setting, that included also the conquest of the resource points, or shrines as you called it, that you needed to take to keep the whole crusade, the whole large host alive, because everybody would have failed or would have to retreat in the end if those shrines could not have been held. That was basically the main story, and this story is written by a team of authors. That is, last year we had like 130 guys writing at this for like 9 to 12 months. And this writer team is pretty productive. We had in the end like 1,000 pages, or like 1,100, and those were exclusive for Conquest 2015. There was also a background paper and book and stuff like that. That's more practical for that we can use for more than just 1 year, because it describes the mirror world in general. That's also a couple of 100 pages long, and so there's a lot of stuff that's being created and written for every Conquest and for the world in general as well.
You're essentially writing a book, like every event.
Yes, because the setting is really that complex and that fulfilling. Wherever you go, wherever you venture, you will find little stories and stuff that could happen. Within the Great Host, so within the player camps, we have approximately 200 NPCs that bring their own story and try to establish the setting of this crusade and this Great Host. And there's, for example, one group of 30 characters that are a tribe of Aeris, the element of air, and they suffer from the surroundings, from this mirror world that really has no air in it that they can use to live and to really breathe. They survive barely, but it's really hard for them to be on that crusade altogether. And this group of NPCs tries to establish or tries to increase a feeling for this world and for the diversity of this world, and how dangerous it is to be here. And this year they really had a big drawback, because a group of players went out and discovered some of the shrines and activated the shrines and hold them for an hour. And they made a small ritual and named it in the name of Aeris, the element of air. And then they left. When some enemies arrived, they said, "Okay, no, that's too dangerous. We'll go." And the Naldar, this Aeris tribe, decided to defend the shrine against all odds, and they went out and they died. And that was a very tragic end of most of their leaders, and very, very sad development altogether. But great opportunity for really, really nice play and character development within their camp.
That sounds like it's really the stories that end up like once you get the players in there and they're reacting to all the like this entire book essentially that you've written. I mean, is that what makes it worthwhile? Is that, I mean, it sounds like to me that like that's the best part.
Depends. Mythodea is a lot bigger than the setting that we write. There is the Crusade, there's a great host, but for example, character like Dennis' character, they can exist and they can have fun in Mythodea or on Conquest without touching most of what's in the book. Of course, there's stuff in there that happens to them, or what they could find. For example, there's the Watch, a group of 100 guys in the retinue that try to bring order to the Great Host and try to increase information flow and or stuff like that. So maybe he saw them and had encounters with them because they are a group that tries to bring order to the gangs. But that doesn't succeed all the time. But that also is a part of their job to make it hard for the gangs to have fun, but don't stop them playing and enjoying the whole game. So that's also part of the setting, and therefore Mythodea is more than this whole ancient epic story about ancient rulers and primordial skeptics and golden and black thrones and whatever. It's all the story of a little man joining a great host and trying to make a living and trying to make some gold in the city or or just to survive. That's also the conquest. It's everything at once.
I like that. I mean, I guess, yeah, it makes sense, especially when you have so many people. Not everyone's going to be there for the same reason. Just like you come across that goblin who's there to loot bodies, and you might come across somebody who's there because they are following one of the elements, and it's really important that like they're doing it essentially for, I mean, kind of their god, basically. It's so, and another reason why I think it's so cool, the amount of people that you meet at this sort of event. So, speaking of like phones and other things going off, so what happened this year that of all this plot line that happened? I'm so sorry. There's like phone going off in the background.
That's so typical. I also just got an SMS from a friend saying, "Hi, it's so tempting to call you now."
Yeah, don't do it. It's like, oh. It is currently phone time in the U.S. where people call your house. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about so there's all these plot lines that are going on. Some of the major ones, big ones happening. There's some other smaller ones happening. There's some that are created essentially by the players themselves and like the conflict just from getting all these people together. My question is, what happened this year that basically impacted you and your group the most? So what was like that one like part of the plot line, whether or not it's like the stuff that Fabian created or just stuff that was happening in your own camp?
Oh, I actually think that's from our, or at least from my perspective, it's kind of a hard question to answer. I'm sure Martin will say the same because This year our group was quite. We were out there. We have some doing the politics stuff. We have some doing the gang stuff. We have some going out exploring, some gathering news. We have some other people in the camp which actually were there for the battles and tried to help protect the different shrines and so on. We had guard duty, and yeah, there's many things from our group that's just yeah it's hard to find something that stands out more for the group. As so we achieved much as a group. As I told you, we were given Copperdale, this city, and so a lot of political stuff happened, and we were joined. Last year, the gangs invited us to be part of the gangs, and this year they really took over. So we had a lot of things going on with the gangs, because this year we didn't do as much street fighting as the gangs usually do. We had a lot of competition between the gangs trying to win this trophy. Which we won.
There's a trophy?
That's a trophy.
Oh, yeah.
What? A gang trophy?
Yeah. When it's the next person, I will find the trophy. It's just right over here, so I can get it. Just have to go off camera.
He literally has it, like, just showing up on his wall as a giant...
That's a gang trophy, okay? That's a gang trophy.
Do you have a gang sign? Like... How do you? I'm just amused.
It's a gang thing, being one of the city gangs.
Yeah, and we are sort of the only city gangs which do not have a base inside the city, and they really want us to have a place in there, but we like to stay outside because then we can interact with more, because we are such a diverse group. We have a lot of things we want to do separate, but we also have a lot of things we want to do together. So, but we gained a lot. It's more if we wanted to share a story, a specific story. I have a story about me and Martin, but I do not know if it's now or...
Tell your story.
You're allowed to tell the story, but is it really the one that impacted you the most personally?
Oh yeah. I lost a son. I lost my son and gained a new one. It didn't turn out what my character was hoping for. So in some ways, this is a very personal matter for my character. As a proud father of no more than 3 boys, I try to make them do stuff to make me proud and make me sure that they can take care of themselves. The oldest, he has become the voice of the Lord Protector in Lunoth. He's basically the hand of the king, if we use Game of Thrones terms. The other one, well, he's doing quite well politically, because he's joining his brother on this epic conquest of political ideas and trying to expand Lunoth to the Northern Seal and get new territories. And then I have Tobias.
Which is a janitor.
Which is a janitor, what do you call it? The one, a grave digger, and a coward, a drunkard, and an unfaithful man. He's not faithful to his wife. And when you try to make him do something, he shoves his head down his ears and runs away. He's a chicken and a drunkard. So I asked his other brothers to help me to do something about it, because this year we had to do something about Tobias. So we went to the Church of Ignis and orchestrated that he will be burned to get the courage of Ignis implanted into him, so he will stop drinking and be more he will have more courage, essentially. But then we saw another sign called the Helping Hand. And when we saw that, we were thinking, oh, a helping hand, that's what he needs. A slap over his face. So we went in there, and they promised to talk to Tobias. So we went down to the camp, found Tobias, and took Tobias to this. It was sort of like Tobias's character meeting a psychologist who is going to talk him into not do things. That he should give up his current ways and start a new one. And you probably should tell this part of the story. It's after all you.
What happened, Martin, when you were brought into this tent?
It was basically like a one-on-one AA meeting. So
in-game, like in-game.
In-game. By the way, I'm not a drunk out of game. I play a drunk in-game. Just like to point that out. The rest of the family, of course, comes and take me like, oh, we have to do a family meeting with some other family called the Hand of the Land. Or something like that. And I am, of course, thinking, okay, well, these people must be some sort of shadow thing, because the Hand and thieves. So we walk down there, and it's like they have purple banners and flowers and everything. Okay, this is a really good hideout, because it doesn't look anything like thieves. We come down there, and this is, of course, it's another player group, so it's personal thing. We come down, and the rest just stands outside, and Dennis just takes me by the hand and walk inside this camp, where there's a woman, and he and her and Dennis just look each other in the eye, and he nod, and yes, and this is him, yes. She takes me, and then she walks into the camp with me, and Dennis just walks away. It's like, what's going on here? They're just leaving me. And then we sit down, and she starts talking to me like, so you have some problems. Tell me about them. and first is like, I go on in my mind like, oh crap, what have they now put me up to? Like, this is ridiculous. And then, you know what? No, I'm just gonna roll with it. And then my character, which is the coward, have big problems, run on liquid courage, start spilling the beans about everything, and starts crying, and this woman can't.
Were you actually crying?
Trying to cry.
Okay, so like your character's crying, but like you're not quite.
I don't know if I can cry in command. I think there came some tears out somewhere, and she tries really hard to like not laugh at all. But we keep talking, and I think we talked for about 2 hours. Then I found out that there's apparently an SL or a game master in the camp somewhere, and he walks out of the camp essentially just right outside on the other side of the palisades, where the rest of Dennis and the rest of the guys are sitting, and he's just laughing his ass off.
He's listening to you talk in your AA meeting?
Yeah, and we laughed when we saw this SL come out of the palisade. We said we were all thinking, oh, did we just kill him? And then the SL looked at us, and he was just, have you seen what's going on in there? Then he went, and shortly after after he came out, she came and got me into this AA meeting, because that's a little more than I can handle, because he seriously has some daddy issues, you know that?
Some daddy issues? Oh my gosh.
And I was
exactly.
Daddy issues? What? So I went in to talk to Martin, to Tobias, and I tried to put on the caring and loving father. What's the wrong, boy? You know, you can tell me everything. I will always be there for you. You know, I love you. And when I said I love you, Martin, he was sitting, mumbling, with his back turned to me, and then he slowly turned his head around, looking me in the eyes, and said, "You love me? Even after you've gutted my guts?" And then I was all like, yeah, about that. Because we had an episode where I actually operated on Martin, or on Tobias. And this lady, she was just all like, "You did what to your son? It's a gang thing. You wouldn't understand."
But in short, in short, it all ended up very, very nice. After some small fighting in the tent, not knocking anything over, lucky enough, we ended up in each other's arms, crying and hugging like son and father.
Yeah, and we each got this little flower patch we both wear, because this was the day where I lost Tobias, but it's also the day where I gained. What are you calling yourself now?
Well, I got what is it called? Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Basically, I wanted to. It's like putting the old ways behind me on my character, but that's like the end of the story, more or less. A little long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool though. Like something that you encountered at the event completely changed your character.
It changed my character and Martin's character's relationships, because we went from Martin's character being kind of afraid of his father to actually caring in some ways about his father. In some ways.
Yes.
But it's still only at Mythodea. That's all I can say.
Yeah, like, where else are you going to go? You're walking down the road and there's like some therapist that's going to help your character work through their problems. That's awesome. But let's move on to Rick. Rick, I'd love to hear what impacted you, your character, the most at Conquest this year.
Yeah, that's a difficult question, and it's hard to keep it short. So I'll try my best. As I said earlier, traditionally a military leader, very influential in the big politics. This time we chose to do that differently. We went to a different camp. And that also then meant that we didn't have any of the connections, we didn't know what was going on in the same ways we have in the past. So, and kind of like being a new character in many ways, and with some different people in the group, so it's like a different group dynamic. And we ran into our first real problem that I'd never seen in 5 years of going to these 6 years, and that was language issues. And it was not pleasant at times, but the Live Adventure staff did a brilliant job of trying to fix it. And one of the ways they tried to fix it was with some plot. And that plot didn't really work out the way they'd hoped. I won't bore you with all the details in the war story bit, but essentially my character had a mark on him. No one really knew what it meant. Another group leader I don't necessarily get on with in and out of character had the same mark, and the thought was that we'd work together to solve this problem, which we didn't do. So So part of the problem is Fabian and his team do a brilliant job of writing all this great plot and great stuff, but unfortunately the information doesn't always get to the bottom levels. So the SLs, the game masters at the bottom level, didn't always know what this mark meant or what I was supposed to do about it. So I was getting different input from different people, including some people that were told that I couldn't go back, I couldn't leave the mirror world with this mark. So essentially, my character would be trapped in the mirror world, is what I was told. And we couldn't get a ref ruling to find out if that was true. And I was so tired and frustrated and irritated by so many things in and out of character, I was just role-playing, fine, I'll die here. My character will die. And what was funny was everyone was thinking that I was under the influence of the skeptics, the primal skeptics, these people in this mirror world. But the reality was Rick, as well as Zeno, was both just upset. Really just proper angry and frustrated. It wasn't some magical doubt. It was proper doubt. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? And so as we progressed through that, you've got the bleed in and out of in-character and out-of-character issues and trying to accept that, not every game master is going to always have the answer. And not every player is going to make the right call. And seeing the conflict between me, my wife, my friends, the group, and bringing everybody together, despite it just being this one small thing, this one mark, which when it was all said and done was all of like, yeah, it's just a black mark on your hand, it wears off after a few hours, it doesn't actually do anything. So what we did is we created a great big plot around a whole lot of drama, when in reality it was quite a small thing, and really influenced a lot of different people just for one small contact. So for me, that's kind of the big thing for the plot, was that it's a new world, learning new things, and even when things go wrong, you can still have a lot of fun with it, as long as you keep your sense of humor. And even when out of character, I was tired, frustrated, and irritated, you still have to keep a little bit of a sense of humor and kind of go, well, we'll just see how it goes. Because if you just quit, if you just go and just go into town and stop role-playing and just get drunk the rest of the time, you really, shooting yourself in the foot. That even when things aren't maybe going the way you thought they would, a character, friend's character dies. We had some character deaths. One of those was quite traumatic, in particular for my character, because he felt responsible. Don't give up. Just get stuck in and keep going. And I guess that's kind of all I would say is all about a silly negator, because a simple mark on my hand, and it created drama for a couple days.
It's all in your head, Rick.
Yeah, you're not the first to say that. I hear that a lot.
Oh, man. We're kind of running out of time, so we're going to go ahead and move on to other people's questions. Although we're kind of answering one already, which was what was the most memorable thing to happen to you at Conquest? We've kind of answered that with what impacted you the most. I know, just to tag on to that, for me, it was actually role-playing a character that I was told I shouldn't play, really, at Conquest, which was, so I play an anthro kind of character that's like part cat creature and part person, and it's very common for you to see that in like the US, but I was told that if you go to Europe, it's like definitely not really done.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do it. So I took that as a challenge that I had to do it, and I had to do it well. And so I took a very serious, like I was very serious about making this be like the best character costume ever. And I got a lot of compliments. A lot of people said they really, really liked it. I like had like a mask instead of just makeup, and like it had a lot to do with like the role play of it. But for me, the most memorable part was actually having lots of Europeans come up to me and tell me how much they loved my costume and my character. So that to me, I was like, I win LARPing, and I can quit now. I'm done. So. Fabian, would you also like to share what your most memorable thing that happened to you at Conquest was? I know it would be different than probably what we had, but
yeah, especially because as a game master, I was not in character, so it was more like a backstage thing. But it would be what followed after what I described before. The tragic end of the leader of the Nalda of the Aeris tribe. That was unforeseen for us, and the high priestess died there. She was called the Crystal Throne. That was kind of a title, and the amazing thing is that we thought, okay, that happened out there, and not that many people saw it, and how can we continue the story? We don't want to bring her back. We don't want to kind of make her alive again, or give players a chance to bring her back, because that was just over. But one of our main enemy NPC characters was in the vicinity. The insane artist I also mentioned before, the Sims in Colorado, and she picked up the corpse, reanimated her, and made her into like zombified puppet, and brought her to the camp of the Naldar, while they were completely destroyed for losing her in the first place. And she brought him back to them and said, "Hey, I think you lost something on the field, and look, I even made her so she can still sing for you." And then this zombified puppet, formerly high priestess of this whole people, sang the song, the most holy song of the Naldor, and there were like 200 players and Naldor there standing around while she sang the song, with all the blood and the guts spilling because she was a corpse, walking corpse, and the NPC that played this character was perfect in displaying that she wasn't the Crystal Throne anymore. She was just a corpse singing, or had been taught to sing. And so there was this one situation where she stopped, where she repeated herself over and over like a jukebox that just got stuck, and she repeated the same line over and over and over again, and Sim Claret had to push her a little so she continued her song. And that was the horror, the pure horror and shock in the faces of all that watched that display, that horrific display. That was an amazing moment. That was so emotional for so many people, for so many players and NPCs at the same time, that we thought, okay, we lost a great character there on the field due to some, unlucky military situation, but the play that we got out of it was one of a kind, really.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Cool. So that said, like all the things that we really liked about the event that was like memorable to us, this is another question we have from Michael Korsgaard.
We actually have a few questions at the moment.
We do. So, but this kind of ties in really well, which is, what do you hope for the future of Conquest? So, anyone who wants to answer, go.
Well, I hope that we will continue exploring what Conquest have for us players, and we will continue to share the stories, because there are so many. It's so fun being there, because when you get home, and it's actually hard to get home and tell your friends, you know what, this happened. They will think you're lying in some ways, at least here in Denmark. Some of them will. But it's such an amazing place. I really just hope to be there and always be a part of what's going on. That's my hopes for the future.
Well, since no one else volunteered, I guess I'll say my hopes for the future. With all due respect, Fabian, I hope that we finish the plot with the Mirror World and go somewhere else. Mirror World's been interesting. I hope this next summer's the last one, and maybe next year, the year after that, maybe we'll explore another continent or a proper fresh start. That's me personally. When Conquest ended after year 10, I was looking for a good fresh start, something completely new. And the Mirror World's been better this year than it was last year, by far, much better this year than last year. But I'm ready to try something else, to be perfectly honest. I know you guys can do a great job with something fresh, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would hopes for Conquest of the future. More English. I don't know. No, just that it doesn't end. Is that a hope?
Sure, it's a very broad hope, but sure.
Because it's awesome, especially when there's so many people and there are so many things just going on, and it's a great LARP. But if I have to be really specific, I hope that there's going to be more offspring LARPs that is connected together with Conquest, because I just recently found out that there's a lot of other LARPs out there which are connected to Conquest in some way or another. And I hope that there's coming more of these, because that would be really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, kind of branching off of that idea, I know there's a lot of people here in the U.S. that wishes we had something that wasn't across the pond. So, I know we've got something up in Canada, but it's really not the same as what Conquest is. So my hope would be that it does spread to other places, including over here, so that I don't have to go so far. Even though I love you guys and I love visiting and it's amazing, but.
My greatest hope for next year Conquest would be better accessibility for non-German speakers in Conquest. We have so many plans that we are working on. We had so many ideas last year that we tried that didn't work out in many places because they weren't understood what we tried to do, and not enough people got the idea where we were heading. For example, we had one whole camp that was thought to be an international camp at Conquest, where English should have been the main language, where we put only game masters that were fluent in at least 2, most of them 3 or 4 languages, and all the NPCs were speaking English primarily. But while many international guests understood the concept, there were lots of German players that also went to that camp, and they didn't know or didn't read up what they were joining. So the plan got stuck. The whole plan got stuck there. So for next year, we have new plans in place that, and we try new ideas to get to make Conquest a greater experience for English speakers. And I hope that that many of those ideas and concepts that we are going to try out will work. That's really what I hope most for next year.
That's awesome.
On that note, it was nice to have the GMs that spoke English. By the way, that was really nice.
That was awesome. Very good. As much I'm trying to learn German. I'm trying to.
Yeah, but it is a LARP in Germany, so.
But really, for an English native speaker to learn German is really much harder than the other way around. English is a lot easier to learn for Germans, and most of our game masters are at least understand English pretty well, and I say like half of them speak it fluently. So, well, there's to a brighter future on that.
I would toast to that if I had any water left. We still have a lot more questions from people coming in. I know we said we were only going to go an hour. Do any of you guys need to go now, or can we try to answer at least one from each person here? What do you guys think?
Go on.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, we'll try to get through them pretty quickly here. So one question we had from, we'll do the one from the Google Plus event page. Les Enfants Terribles? Yeah, it's French. They're a French group. They say that we are French people who are wondering.
Elephants?
I don't know. Enfants? Enfants, is that an elephant? I don't know. Infants? I don't know. We are French people who are wondering to know if the rumor that the World Council really took a part of Mythodea and bring it in Kel Riothar with a ritual was true. I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what that means? And do you care to spoil?
There was a storyline concerning the shrines. They were basically they could have they could have been actuated by the players, and they could have named it in any of the 5 elements and reaped some benefits of that. But they had also the players had also the chance to to call the World Council. That's an institution from Mythodea. I won't go into detail too much there right now. The thing that was that if they did that at a shrine, it had the disadvantage that they wouldn't get any of the advantages, like any of the buffs that you talked about earlier, because the World Council is like the elements united, so you wouldn't get any of the specific element buffs. On the other hand, this was a road down to securing a shrine, so that the Forsaken, the enemies, were not able to recapture it, and that really succeeded. The players from the camp of the free camp, that's one of the 5 camps, managed to secure one of the shrines permanently, so that it will be like a signal fire or a bright light shining in the mirror world in Kelriota, what's the mirror world's own name, and it will be a beacon of hope, so to speak. The one place that cannot be retaken by the Forsaken, but will have no other effect on the other side. So no buff or great military advantage, but this beacon of hope. And that really happened, yes. They managed to pull that off. That has nothing to do with bringing Mythodea to the mirror world or whatever. That was kind of maybe a rumor, I don't know. But that beacon was lit. Mission accomplished.
Good job, guys. So now you know. There you go. Okay, so next question, which I'm having a little hard time understanding as well. Isn't Conquest plotline not really what you, the player, decide to make it? Specifically to Fabian. I'm not really sure exactly what they mean, but not really.
I think that's back to the thing that I said in the beginning. We don't write a script, we write a setting. And what happens after that depends on what the players do and where the players want to go. For example, we had this whole alliance plot. There were several factions and characters that appeared last summer that were in some political connection to the primordial skeptics. And well, a player could just say, we are on a crusade here, you are obviously not a good guy, so now I kill you, over. Or they could start talking with them, or they could form an alliance with them and trade information or some diplomatic goodies or whatever. And there was a whole from being a heretic and make an alliance with an enemy, with a Forsaken, in the name of the enemy of my friends kind of thing, to saying, no, I'm on the holy crusade of the elements, and everything that looks a little Forsaken will burn. Those are the true extremes, and there are lots of ways and paths to find in between. And which of those paths player take is up to them. The real fun thing about Conquest is that it's big enough that there's not only one road. There's one camp that's more on the left side or on the crusade path, and there's another camp that's all about shadow alliances and stuff like that. That's the cool stuff.
That's pretty cool. Like it.
Unity all the way.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time over in Unity, but also not in Unity in my own camp too. There's cool characters to each of the different camps. And it's also, there's like different levels of like defenses in terms of getting into them. You're like, all right, so if I go into this one, do I have to answer a question? And also like going into your camp, for instance, Martin, I had to give a joke. Every time I would go into your camp, I'd have to give the gatekeeper some sort of joke to get in.
I have to add something there, so I don't get in trouble. There is no Shadow Alliance. You never heard of that.
Oh, okay. What are you talking about? What shit? I don't know. I've never heard.
Can you write it down? I didn't get it.
Oh man. So kind of speaking about the players, we have another question from Matu Walkarius. I'm just butchering everything right now. We are wondering if the players are, in your opinion, walking the good path, or if they are totally wrong in their questions, objectives, and role play.
I think we can all answer this in some way or another, but personally,
yeah, I don't know. Answer it. Answer.
Personally, I think that I'm a little afraid to say this because I've heard that some characters are getting targeted and killed off for saying this, but I think that the Crusade might be wrong. Onward to the next one.
And the plot writer didn't hear that at all, right? Oh, you're gonna walk into the game next time and just there's gonna be a bag thrown over your head. Like that's what's gonna happen. Game on. Bag.
No.
That would be an interesting way to start a game. Every last player, everyone's got a bag on their head. Everyone. That would be impossible, but interesting. Yeah.
Anybody else have something to say to this one?
I think that I ran into a lot of people too who are like so true to their characters. I love this actually. I love it when I come across a LARPer who is playing a character that is like deliberately like less intelligent than they are in real life. And like they'll come across something in game and like they're very logical, intelligent people, and then because they're playing like this stupid character, like they do something that's clearly going to ruin everything or going to get them killed or I don't know. Like I like putting roleplay ahead of like winning. And I see a lot of that, or at least I did around the people that I encountered at Conquest. So I don't know if that means that they're walking the good path or not walking the good path or whatever, but I don't know. I saw that happen a lot.
Yeah,
you first, Rick.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I was kind of concerned about walking the good path or not with the whole adamant banner, you know, the Crusaders, and leaving that group because we wanted a bit more flexibility out of character roleplay. And then I have so many friends on the plot team and the SLs and stuff, the reps, that it's always hard not to ask questions. But sometimes people let things slide, and Fabian's very good. He never lets anything slide with me. So and from NSCs or NPCs in particular, that people have different ideas of what they're doing, even on the other side. So I don't think there is a right way or a wrong way. I think the minute you start thinking about the destination rather than the trip, you kind of lost sight of what it's all about. And that's where I sort of change what I do. I try hard to play to lose, in one way, but also I have a great deal of all of my role play is very much based on loyalty to my group, out of character. Trying to build this project, so in some ways I'm like an NPC myself. But as far as whether we win the crusade or win the battle or whatnot, I don't really care about that as long as my group stays coherent. That's all I really focus on. Not all I focus on. The most thing I say focused on. So when people ask, do we think we're on the right path? Do we think the players are on the right path? So like when the expeditionaries are doing something and I go, out of character, I'm thinking this is going to be a waste of time. But as long as they're having fun, I just go and, hey, let's go do that. Yeah. So I think that's the answer I would give.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I think we've basically got through at least most of the questions. I think we want to wrap it up. But I'd love to end with advice that you all have for people who would like to go to Conquest next year, what they can do to get involved and have a good time. Just like give like your top bit of advice for people that haven't been and would like to experience something like this.
I think the best advice, if you go to Conquest, because you should really go to Conquest, it's not up for arguing. Once in your life you have to do the right thing, and this is the right thing. Go to Conquest. That said, when you are at Conquest, and if you don't speak German, don't worry. there's a lot of players who speak English. And many of the German-speaking players are really nice to tell you what's going on. Even if you have to sort of, out of character, have to, sorry man, but I really don't understand what the hell they are saying. Could you please translate? You'll be all like, sure, but keep it in time, you know. And then he will tell you. And that's just one of the most amazing things. You can actually be at a German LARP without knowing anything about German. And you still, if you want to, could be a part of the plotline, and you could hear what it's all about. You just don't have to be afraid. Just ask. Everyone is willing to help you. And even if you come to an SL who do not understand you, he will make sure he finds a way so you can understand him.
Dennis, just really short. Show us the trophy.
Yeah, the trophy! The gang trophy! I feel like we need like music behind that. Like, ah, or like, what's the link? Da na na na, you got the thing. That's actually really impressive. Like, who made that?
One of the other gangs. It's made out of wood, and it has this and painted gold, and has the bell on it. And I think the reason why it's made like that is it's sort of a thing we have to take with us next year and give it back, of course. But what if the team doesn't show up? So it's quite inexpensively made. So I think it's made just like that, so it's easy to be replicated and again. But it's awesome.
That's pretty cool. I like that. All right, more advice.
Yeah, I've got 2 bits of advice, one of which involves you, so you might like it. Yeah. When you go, and I think Dennis is quite right, it's the big mistake is not to go. You got to go to Conquest. There's nothing like it. But when you go, you've got to commit. If you go on your own, that's fine. Find some other people to socialize with. Don't be the ranger in the corner of the tavern, you know, try and look mysterious. Get involved, get stuck in. But commit and have some group loyalty. Now, obviously, the expedition isn't for everybody. I've learned that, that lesson. But there is a group for everybody out there. So find that group, get loyal, because you never know when your friend is going to do something a bit foolish, and she's going to need to be rescued from a bunch of angry orcs. And there's nothing quite like being a leader when one of your people gets in trouble, and you say, "I'm going to go get one of our people. I think she may be, about to be killed. Who's with me?" And people walk out in basically their underwear with a knife in order to go help her and to show that kind of loyalty, that sort of group bonding. And it's a game, but when people after 3 or 4 days of this live in it and they're into it and they're involved and they care about each other and they're willing to take risks, get stuck in, that's the whole reason to play these silly dress-up games to me. That's what it's all about. And that's because of you and your amazing role play with your cat-like character that I said probably is not a good idea, but if you really want to do it, I'll support you. And I paid off in spades because you were absolutely brilliant. And it's because of people like you that why I put all the effort in, even when I'm pulling the hair out and turning my beard gray. So it's because of you. So thank you for everything you've done for the expedition. And thanks, all I was going to say is to everybody watching this, get stuck in. Give it a shot. If you make a mistake, just get back up and you try again another way. And don't be afraid to be a cat person as long as you're good at it.
Yeah, if you want to be a cat person, I'll give you advice and I'll help you get to be to the level that I'm clearly at. No, you made me blush a little bit there, Eric. Yeah, that's really good advice. Having a group behind you, I thought was super important. Especially, I could not have been there without a group for sure. Even just getting there, and like all like the specifics and things. So that's really important, is finding some people that you can trust, because it's not just in game, it's also out of game, and especially if you're going from like another country, and if you've never been to Germany, like it's kind of nice to have that sort of support system. So, but I would also like to add, from like that role play point of view, the people that I always enjoy meeting the most when I go, and I think they have the most fun while they're there, are the people that put a lot of effort into not just like their own costume and that sort of thing, but providing something for other players. The idea that like I took time to actually make like ingredients and stuff beforehand for my alchemy, so that it was like really tasty and people actually wanted to drink it later on, like when I was in game. And I actually sat down and I had like all these ingredients with me so that I could brew like home like flu remedies. Like essentially it's like lemon juice and ginger, like really good things that are for you, but like taking the time to like bring those things to add like just a tiny extra element to whatever it is you're already going to be doing in game, and something that can add to somebody else's game, because when you're adding to other people's game, they want to be around you, and then you get better role play too. So that's my advice.
I would say talk with people. That's like the shortest advice I can give. No matter who they are and what your character is. I normally play characters that don't want to fight and don't want to stand on guard duty, but try if they have something and you kind of want to do it, but your character might want to do it, then just try and do it. You're gonna get dragged into a lot of messy stuff. And just talk with people. That's like the most important thing. If you don't talk with people, you're not gonna meet anybody down there, and it's just gonna be really boring. Because it's a lot of amazing costumes, huge event and everything, but you need to talk with people. Yeah.
All right, Fabian. I think it's you.
I think I just add to what Martin said, and I'd make him a little more general than that. Participate. That's what I'd say. Don't go to a LARP and expect somebody else to make something that brings you joy or that entertains you. That's not what LARP is for. LARP is the place where you are responsible for your own fun, and by doing so, you will also entertain others. And if everybody does it the same way, you all together have a great convention, a great LARP. So participate. Don't just stand there and watch others do stuff, because you'll go home and you'll think about all the things that you didn't do. Well, maybe just a little like real life.
There's always so many things you don't do. There's just so many things that are happening, no matter what you do. It's a good time. Anyway, so we're 20 minutes over. We're going to end this now. I want to thank all of you guys for taking the time to join us and share your experiences. I'm hoping that people who were watching got something good out of it. And you can watch for it later. It'll be up on the Larping.org YouTube channel, so you can watch it again later or check it out if you weren't able to tune in, which at this point you've watched the whole thing and you're like, duh, I watched it already, but whatever. And yeah, if you've got other questions for us, you can still shoot it up on the event page. Maybe we'll look at them later. But it looks like we got through everything, so teamwork, go. And make sure you also check out other LARPing.org videos that we have up on the page, including the Stay in Character vlogs. And also check out LarpForge on their own YouTube channel. Just LarpForge. They've got a lot of good tips and tricks for LARPing, a lot of ones that I really enjoy. Anything you guys like to add as we close out?
Go to Conquest.
If you ever
Yeah.
if you ever are at Conquest, go to the Virtuous Unity quarter under the Unity banner and ask for the kettles. We will hold the first officially Conquest AA meetings. Anonymous alcoholics. There will be plenty of alcohol, and we don't care who you are. You will stay anonymous.
I don't think you. I don't think you know what. Oh, all right. Oh my. Yes. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. I'm pressing the stop button now.